No, I appreciate the question.
There's nothing there. It's completely worthless because there's nothing in there to define who it applies to.
Again, I think what we're trying to do is get...
Well, you're not succeeding in what I'm saying. There's huge gaps in this. So you need to go fix them before you can do completely flawed policy.
And again, when we put out the policy to provide something for people to work with, and then to begin the conversation... You should have put it out as a draft for discussion. That's how democracy works. To begin the conversation with the Capitol Police so that we can determine those kind of issues.
Can I say one other thing? I keep hearing about the 16, and we got it marked in books. I would actually, as I've done, I would plead with you. I'd even go as far as I always said, please, please, apply for the permit. Let me finish. You have nothing to lose. Let me finish. Let me finish. Please apply for the permit. We don't want to be in a situation of facing any type of situation where we may have to make arrests. Okay, I've said that for 10 months. I've lived that. I believe that. Let's work together. Let's make it work for the betterment. You heard a gentleman sit here right in and say we've had some of the largest demonstrations and rallies in the state history, in the history of this state. And you heard that gentleman sit here and say there's been no problems. There's been no problem. What I'm saying to you, there's a better way of looking at it, coming up with a decision whether we're right and wrong. I don't think that decision needs to be to challenge us on the 16th or the 19th, whether or not we're going to make an arrest. I told each and every one of you, you don't want it on your record. If it goes that route, you don't want to be involved in that if it goes that route. And we want voluntary compliance. We don't want arrest. I mean, it's real simple. I mean, we are an organization, a professional organization, who are looking out for the best interest of everyone here. And I'm asking you, please, to really consider the fact of getting the permit. It's filling it out, getting it to us, and we're going to look through it, work through it, and try to make it happen to the best of our ability.
This is I think this point that that Representative Taylor made is being lost on you guys. There is constitutional case law that says we have protected political speech that cannot be required to be permitted. You cannot require, DOA cannot require, under constitutional case law, that a permit be obtained. So we are, and I say we, I occasionally participate in the Solidarity Sing. I am not part of the leadership or anything else. But anybody who has protected political speech in the Capitol, you cannot require a permit. And I think if you had a lawyer here present, as I think you should have, and you had a lawyer who was familiar, I went on the state website. It's right there under the Wisconsin State Constitution, the annotations, the case law. It is right there. Anybody could have seen it.
Again, our legal team in reviewing the actual code believes that we do.
You're wrong.
And that's a decision.
I'm sorry, you're wrong.
Okay, would you take Tim next?
I have a short one, if I may. Thank you, sir. I'm sorry. A short question, if I may. I apologize, Representative. Okay, this is very short. Thank you. I'm certain that DOA is aware that this is going to be challenged in the courts. I have no doubt they're aware of that. I would like to know what law firm has been retained at taxpayer expense to defend these policies, because I assume that's already happened.
It has not.
All right. Who are you going to be hiring to defend these policies? Whitehurst Factory? Will it be private counsel?
Again, that's a hypothetical question. We'll deal with that issue.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I have two quick questions.
Representative Taylor.
In listening to this dialogue, it's very apparent, and this is what I've observed a lot in this building over the last 1 month, that these policies, in my opinion, were designed to solve a problem that didn't exist, and in the process creates 1,000 more different problems. And the frustrating thing for me, and I think for so many people here, is we did come here expecting to get some answers, because we don't know what behavior is prescribed. We don't know. Right. You know, with all due respect, I guess we apply for a permit whenever we have any inkling that there might be more than 3 of us. But, you know, we need to get some answers, and that's what I thought we were going to get here. I mean, this seems like more you listening to us, but the fact of the matter is the policies are drafted already, and we still have no more clarification about what they mean and how they're going to be applied. So I would just really And you all, you all can't really do that. And so we're aware closer to understanding these policies than we were when we came here. And, I just think that that is not fair to anybody who came here today, that we still have no answers as to what this really means. These are really important questions. Let's get people some answers so they can sure these answers. And only then can we go forward.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, I have two quick questions. Oh, if I could ask.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, one, how many permits are going to be issued for any given time? If I apply for a permit and get a permit because I'm going to be bringing 6 family members in, and I think we might want to hold up a sign or something while we're looking at the holiday tree, and if I apply for a permit, does that mean that nobody else can be permitted to have an activity in the Capitol at that same time?
I think that's part of the reasons they have the permits is to know how many groups are we having in a particular place at a particular time so that we can ensure that they all can do that, or one group can do that.
And so what guidelines are there for that? How are we to know that? And then where's the breaking point? If I apply to come in with my family, and then at what point are you going to need to hire additional law enforcement officers, and that then who gets the cost for that? Do
Again,
I or
does
does someone else?
Of looking at how many people can we safely have in one place at one time. And again, we have to look at that situation when it occurs.
Okay, and then my other question has to do with the fact that we've had, and this is following up on what Representative Taylor said, but the thing is that we have had a lot of legal questions here because obviously this is a document that you're going to, people are facing arrest for having their constitutional rights violated here. But you have indicated that if the attorneys from the ACLU want to get together with your attorneys or whatever, I shouldn't have to retain an attorney in order to find out what the answers are to my questions. So how do I, as a citizen, without hiring an attorney, how do I find out the answers to these many questions that have come up regarding this?
No, and I appreciate that you have other questions that we need to answer. And again, I can't define specifically what the legal and attorney's responsibilities and what the liabilities
It's what your responsibility is to provide. You're supposedly telling us, yes, you're telling us how we're expected to behave. You're not willing to clarify it because you're saying that that's legal advice or that is something the attorney needs to provide. How do I get that information from the attorneys?
And I respect that you're looking for more clarification. I think we've covered that we need to provide.
We have not covered that. You have said other attorneys may meet with your attorneys. How do I find out without hiring an attorney?
Again, that was for if they had specific issues about...
I have specific issues. How do I get my questions answered?
I think if we work through the Capitol Police, if you have a permit that you want to submit, we can
I want to know when a permit is going to be required or what the consequences might be if I don't have a permit and decide to hold up my sign. I have the right to know how I'm going to be treated.
And I think you're looking for more clarification on the policy. I understand that.
And how am I going to get that?
Quick clarification statement.
That's why they've got him on the job.
Is it the assertion of the Department of Administration and the Capitol Police that all of the policies that are being proposed for permitted activities in the Capitol are contained within Chapter 2? That there is nothing new in those policies beyond what is already in Chapter 2. Is that the assertion of the Department of Administration?
As I mentioned, there's new things in the policy so far as an appeals process. There is that hasn't been, I don't think, has been enunciated.
And the 4 people and the liability and all those are all contained with Chapter 2. Is that the assertion of the Department of Administration?
And spontaneous event?
I think that we have what our legal team believes is they've been able to interpret that and provide.
And then my second question is, given that there are changes to what is in Chapter 2, why was the decision made to do this as an administrative policy instead of going through either the administrative rules process or statutory change with full public review? How was that decision made? I'm not asking about the legal issue. I'm asking about the internal Department of Administration decision to promulgate these as departmental policy that are not subject to public review and discussion.
Because we believe we had that authority.
Under what authority? Under what authority? You have the authority to add new requirements that are not in the administrative code or not in statute that speak directly to First Amendment rights of the citizens through administrative fiat. Is that the interpretation of the Department of Administration?
Those are your words. But we believed in the administrative code in Chapter 2 that we had the authority to be able to promulgate.
And there was a deliberate decision on the part of the Department of Administration not to go through a public hearing process on that. Is that correct?
We didn't think that was necessary. We thought that we had that authority within.
Do you think it's necessary now after hearing the reaction from the public?
I think we've had a good session here to learn more, and I'll take it back to the team.
And if I live in Wausau, or if I live in Ashland, and I live in Milwaukee, and I'm thinking about coming down to the Capitol, how are you going to communicate that information to them?
And I appreciate your input on that. We'll take that under advisement.
Thank you.
Oh,
Can't answer the question.
You're well trained.
you'll have that by Thursday?
I'm Joe Schoolin. I guess I'm going to try to get you to answer one question. I suppose if we had a real press, they might be asking questions, but the Wisconsin Capitol Correspondents Association is limp and neutered. Why 4 people?
Had to select a number. It could have been.
Well, because
it could have been
the police state standards say in Egypt or in Baptist countries is 3. So I'm wondering why you violated the police state standard of 3 people.
I can't speak to the exact rationale for that specific number, but I know we had to establish a number.
Albeit
unconstitutional. We haven't really covered kind of the line between what counts as a spontaneous event and what's a planned or non-spontaneous event. Who would determine whether a rally is spontaneous and would not require a permit? And whether it doesn't fall under the definition of spontaneous? That's the first question. And I guess it seems like if something was genuinely not spontaneous, it would be something that would be like publicized, for example, on Twitter or what have you. Would the Capitol Police or the Department of Administration do well? First of all, as a matter of policy now, do you actually monitor social media to see when people are planning events at the Capitol, and if a group did organize something over through various means, I mean, would you use that to say this is not spontaneous? You've been planning this for a week. I mean, how are you going to kind of police the boundary between spontaneous and non-spontaneous?
I think within the policy,
Would you speak up, please? I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. That it has, if the policy defines, I don't have the exact language ready to get from my tongue, but that if it has been publicized over a period of time, that's a planned event. If it's a reaction to something that's happened, that's a spontaneous event. I think that's a decision of the police, the Capitol Police would have to make on the ground, and also in consultation potentially with our legal.
But I just follow up on that. Something happens every day.
It does.
And it would be very easy for the solidarity singers to, sing the date, sing about, open with a song about how the Dow closed the previous day, and then all of a sudden they're spontaneous. They're, singing about, what happened the day before. That's spontaneous. I mean, it just seems like when you have such vague porous rules, that it just invites this sort of thing.
And with all due respect, with the Capitol, or with the solidarity singers.
Would you speak to all of us, please?
If you have a pre-printed songbook, I think it's harder to make the case that it's spontaneous. So if it's been publicized, it's something
so if I bring the songbook that I have in my purse and carry with me every place I go, if I pull that out at noon, then I'm part of the group? What if I pull it out at 11?
And I'm sitting next door.
And I heard and she agreed. There you go. There's your 4.
I have a question about the permits. Can you...
Let's just go in groups.
Go ahead. It's a
Okay, I just have a question. So the point of these meetings, is it to get input from the public so it might change the traffic or is it to just inform people that this is set, this is...
Our original purpose was to inform and help people understand what the policy and the procedure would be. But obviously we've got some input. I'm going to take that back. I think in the policy, obviously, any policy